Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Padajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Padajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa, Paravajikaracharya Ashtoto, the Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Paravajikaracharya Ashtoto, the Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 4th day of August 2021 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 13 entitled Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. Text 28 at the bottom of page 559. Yeah, 1328. You know where we are, right, Dimitri? 559. Okay. Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinashyatsu Avinashyantam Yakpashyati Sapashyati Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyatsva Vinashyantam Yakpashyati Sapashyati Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyat Svavinashyantam Yak Pashyati Sapashyati. All right, just the second line. Vinashyat Svavinashyantam. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. But that U becomes a V, which goes with the next word. Vinashyat Svavinashyantam. All right, I'll try one more time. Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyat Svavinashyantam Yak Pashyati Sapashyati. Govardhan. Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyat Svavinashyantam Pashyati Sapashyati. Sorry, Dharma. Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyat Svavinashyantam Yak Pashyati Sapashyati. Ishtadev. Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyat Svavinashyantam Yak Pashyati Sapashyati. Dimitri. Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyat Svavinashyantam Yak Pashyati Sapashyati. Ladies. Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyat Svavinashyantam Yak Pashyati Sapashyati. Samang Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram Vinasyat Svavinashyantam. All right, this there. Yak Pashyati Sapashyati. Yak Pashyati Sapashyati. Okay, word by words. Samam equally, sarveshu in all, bhuteshu living entities, tishtantam residing, padama ishwaram the supersoul, vinasyatsu indestructible, avinashyantam not destroyed. Yaha anyone who pashyati sees, saha he pashyati actually sees. Translation. One who sees the supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Purport. Anyone who, by good association, can see three things combined together, the body, the proprietor of the body or individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, is actually in knowledge. Unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these three things. Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body, and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul and the supersoul exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. The Sanskrit word Parameshvara is sometimes translated as the individual soul, because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another body. In that way, he is the master. But there are others who interpret this Parameshvara to be the supersoul. In either case, both the supersoul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this begins a series of verses in this chapter in which Krishna talks about seeing the Parameshwara, seeing the Supreme Soul, the individual soul. One who sees them actually sees. You see there's several verses like that. And this is important to understand what it means. Just like I remember, I like to give the example of when I was a kid, 18 years old, I became quite interested in classical art. I was living in the New York area, and I would go into the city, and there was all these museums, and I would see this, there's, that's Rembrandt, I know that one, and there's Picasso and all these things. I didn't really know much about the art. I knew what I liked, that type of thing. But I was interested. And so my parents bought me a set of books describing fine art and some of the inner meanings of it and what the symbols were in the different schools. I didn't get too much into it, but so I knew more. So then when I went into the city and I would visit these museums, I would see differently because I would know more of what's going on. Oh, now I see this is a religious symbol over there, and this is why. And our friend Ishtadev is an expert in that, so he knows. So the idea is that you see not just with the physical eye, obviously, but with the mind, with the intelligence. A more down-home example would be someone walks into the temple. They don't know anything. It's interesting, it's fascinating. They're very fortunate they came to the temple. But they'll look at these paintings. Who is that? What is all that about? And but a devotee who knows, oh, this is Ram Leela. There's Ram and Sita and Lakshman. I know that whole pastime, and they see with the different eyes. You see with the eyes of knowledge. Or you take a child, comes in, looks at the painting, colors. Is there anything to eat there? No. Okay, there you go. No, real little baby. In other words, we all went through that stage, and the mind and the intelligence and the physical organ of sight, they work together to give you an impression, and you get some meaning out of it. So now, in the present case, we find someone who's cultivated Krishna consciousness and purified his vision so that, for instance, 7th chapter, Krishna is giving us some rudimentary ways in which we can begin to see him in this world. See the sacred within the mundane, so to speak. Rasoham apsukonteya pabasmi shashishuyo pranavaksarva vedishu shabdake paurushangashu. The first in the series. Rasoham apsukonteya, he says, I am the taste in water. What does that mean? That means, because the previous verses describe how everything that we experience, the solid matter, the gas, the liquids, the radiant energy, earth, water, fire, air, ether, even our own mind, intelligence, all of these are but different varieties of Krishna's energies. They're lower energy. They're called apara prakriti, or mundane. They're not alive. And then there's the soul, which is also one of his energies. We are part of his energies, but we're at a different level. We're all spiritual. Para prakriti. They're different. Apara prakriti and para prakriti. So we belong to the spiritual nature, but because we're minute, we're called marginal. Tatastha means existing on the border between spirit and matter. We can be completely in the spiritual realm, never come to this realm, which is our rightful place, our natural place. Or we've wandered from there, we've put our attention on this external energy. We're still spiritual, we're still eternal, still part of the internal energy. But we become covered by the material energy, and so we identify with ourselves with that, and we've lost touch with our spiritual nature. So all that is coming. So how do we regain it? We have to change our attention and our understanding of what we are, and live in that new understanding, that real understanding. So one of the rudimentary exercises, so to speak, is to start seeing Krishna within the material world. We call it material, But actually material matter can also act as spirit. We're sitting here, and soon the curtains will open, there'll be the deities. Deities are made of stone, but we know they're not really stone, right? In other words, that's really Krishna there. He has spiritualized that energy, that particular part of the bhumi, that marble or whatever, because it's being worshipped, because of the holy name, because of the installation of the deities, all these. That we can actually see Krishna there. Those who have pure vision, they can see and even talk to the deity. So that's what we have to understand in this present verse. Those who see, because of their knowledge and because of their activities, their purity, you can understand and you can see how the Supersoul and the soul is acting. And in your own life, you can understand, well, I'm sitting here in this heart, but also with me is God in the form of the Supersoul. And although in our present condition we can't hear him, we know from the Shastra, from the Gurus, from the Sadhus, that he appears externally through the Shastras, such as Bhagavad Gita as it is, through the great devotees like Srila Prabhupada and others, and through Sadhus to give us the same instruction. And so in this way, we're existing on a different plane than ordinary people who are just seeing through mundane eyes. Even we can understand on a more down-home level, in the next chapter we're going to learn about the modes of nature. So the modes of nature we can experience in our own lives. We see things differently. If we're really in a bad mood, and we're kind of, maybe in our previous life we took some intoxication, mode of ignorance. Well, everyone knows that makes you see differently, makes you see your life differently, makes you see everyone else differently, and react different. And then you just want to sleep, and then you see dreams, and you're living in that world. So we're living in all these different worlds depending on how we're relating to the modes. Remember that key verse? Let's review that one again. I think it's 22, is it? Yes. Just turn back to page 553. This is a key verse in this chapter, in my mind, because it's telling us how we can change our destiny. We have free will, and as we associate with this world, our consciousness will be changed, and our destiny will be changed. So text 22, bottom of 553. I'll say, you say, Purusha prakatisto hi bhunkte prakati jan gunan kananang guna sangosya sadasadyoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. Sometimes Prabhupada would use the word enjoy to be experienced. This is really experiencing. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. So we as the Purusha, the enjoying living entity in this world, although we're at naturally Prakriti, but we're within material energy, Prakritista, we experience the three modes which are born out of Prakriti. Prakriti Jan. The word Jan is practically English, generates, which is generated from Prakriti, these modes of nature. We're experiencing them. Karana means the cause. Our association with those modes is the cause of our getting good or bad births. That's going to determine our destiny. And if we associate with the pure mode of goodness by cultivating bhakti, then we don't have to take birth in this material world again. We'll take birth, but in our original spiritual body. That's the perfection. But the point is, it's in our hands. And activities such as hearing and chanting, Bhagavad Gita, being in Bhagavad Gita class, what to speak of chanting Hare Krishna, and all the other processes of Bhakti Yoga, is purifying our consciousness, so that we see ourselves, we see this world differently, we see others, and we see Krishna, ultimately. So that's what's being spoken of here. Here, but to see, I remember many years ago, book distribution has been going on a long time. And when I first joined, it wasn't happening in early 73. By the end of 73 and 74, there was a lot of book distribution going on. And the devotees, who were distributing books, they would talk about how they're interacting with others out there. And they would realize, and it's a fact, any book doesn't tell you that, the Supersoul is in everyone's heart. And you know that the Supersoul, according to Bhagavad Gita, is giving intelligence to each of us. For remembrance, what does it say? Sarvasya chaham mridisannavishto matak smriti jnanam apohanangsha. From me, the Supersoul, Krishna says, dwelling in everyone's heart, comes remembrance, knowledge, and also forgetfulness. So that consciousness, intelligence, is being inspired by the Supersoul. So if one is sincerely trying to reach this person with Krishna, trying to give them Krishna consciousness, then Krishna from within the heart, he can say, yes, you should take the book. This person is interesting, like that. If one is not in such good consciousness, the Supersoul will say, it's not, one will be rebelling against. He won't be inspired as much. So this is a way of seeing. You're not going to see, right away the four-handed form of Vishnu in the heart of everyone, literally. But you begin to experience the influence, and you'll understand the reality of it. So we're going to see now. What's the benefit here? Which verse did we just? Was it 29? 28. So he sees within every living entity situated the Parameshwar, the Supersoul, and that both the Supersoul and the individual soul are never destroyed. This is such a key concept and reality that we sometimes forget because we're going to live with it all the time. But the fact that we are spiritual and that we'll never die, it changes everything. If you really believe that, and you really understand it to be true, then it changes all your calculation, because what are you going to strive for in this world? Something that's just material, that's bound up with the material energy, and it will be destroyed? What's the point? If you're eternal, and everything you are hoping for and working for and you think is important is temporary, then isn't that a total waste of time? In other words, okay, you may become a millionaire, or you may do this, or gain some gold medal. They have the Olympics now. But then what? Eventually you're going to die, leave the gold medal, leave the fame, leave the money, everything goes behind. All the relationships. What was it? Shakespeare. I was trying to remember this. Tale told by an idiot. Satisfying nothing. You must have been reading the Bhagavad Gita. They have some insights that come through, But that's exactly what it is. We put so much importance on these temporary things. And then, inevitably, we're separated from them. I was just reviewing one verse, because in my work as an editor, sometimes I get working with different Bhagavatam verses. So Prahlad Maharaj, I love this verse. He's praying to Lord Nrsingadev. So many instructions in these prayers. Chapter 9, text 7. Probably would quote many of them. So he's describing the material condition in 3 lines. And in the 4th line, he has the solution. So he says, Yasmat priya priya viyoga sayoga janma shokagnina sakadayona shodahyamana dukkaushadam tadapi dukkamatadhyaham bhuman bhamame vadame tavadasya yogam. So he analyzes the material condition in 3 lines. See if you can relate to this. I know I could when I first read it. It says, Yasmat priya priya yoga sa yoga janma shokagnina. Now shokagnina means the fire of lamentation, which is universal. Shoka is kind of an inevitable concomitant of material life. It means the fire of lamenting either that you wanted something and you couldn't get it, or you got it and you lost it. Or you got it and you didn't lose it yet, but you might lose it. Now that's also a lot of anxiety. What do you think the insurance business is all about? $multi-trillion. I got it, but I might lose it. My health, my car, my house, my life. There's all you can have insurance for all of them. Oh, yeah, it's a dangerous world, but luckily I got insurance. It's a huge illusion, right? You die, you go on to your next birth, and somebody else is enjoying the money that you have, all life insurance. Anyway, it's a grand illusion. So what he's saying here, and it's just common sense, but when he says, I'm burning life after life. So, sarva yonishu means in all kinds, not just human species, but every species. in the fire of lamentation caused by these two circumstances. See if you can relate to this. The things that you find dear are taken away from you. You're separated from them. And the things that you don't want are pushed in your face. This pandemic. Who really aspired for this pandemic to come around, you know? Some crazy demon, sociopath probably. But it's very rare, right? No one wanted it, but it's forced on us. Now you can deny it, right? Oh, it won't touch me, you know. I've got it on my Ouija board. I mean, you know, there's different ways of trying to... But it may very well come on you. It's a threat. It's an anxiety, fire of anxiety. And then if it comes, oh my God, I'm lying in, you know, the hospital bed. It's horrible. So, and then the things which you find dear and you have, beginning with your own body and health, are taken away. Or your best friend had them taken away. So the anxiety is there and the danger is there. So this is going on not just human species but other species. Now in the human species, we have various remedies for this dukkha. Dukkha means unhappiness in general. So aushadam. Aushadam is like an herbal remedy, right, or any kind of remedy. So he says, dukkha aushadam tadapi dukkham. The remedies themselves are causes of further misery. I always think of the, you know, pharmaceuticals, heavy-duty pharmaceuticals or something. They have an advertisement in the magazine. So there's all this thing, oh, you know, you're depressed, we got you covered. And they show a picture of someone, you know, in an idyllic situation out in the country playing with their child, you know. I'm okay now, I'm okay. You turn the page and they have 3 pages of side effects. Sometimes one of the side effects is death. I swear I read that. Isn't it? So this is the perfect, aushadhi means a remedy. The remedy itself causes further miseries, you know. And they have also a remedy for that side effects, and in this way they make billions of dollars. So this is dukkha aushadam tadapi dukkham. So now what am I going to do? You know, what are the remedies? And then then there's one phrase which is very cogent because it analyzes the root of everything. Atadhyaham. Now that can be interpreted in different ways, but Prabhupada gives it in his Bhagavatam. All caused by the mistake of thinking that I'm the body. Atadhyaham. I'm thinking I'm something I'm not. Atat means what I'm actually not. The truth. Tatvamasi, you know. Atadhyaham. So that's 3 lines. Now the solution. Prahlad doesn't leave us hanging. He's speaking to Lord Nrsingadev, his worshipable Lord, his Ishtadev. Worshipable Lord is Nrsingadev. So now he says, Bhuman, O great soul, great Lord, Bhuman Brahmami Vadame Tavabdasya Yogam. Please instruct this wandering soul, Brahmami means wandering soul, different species, different planets, in the science of your Dasya Yoga, your Bhakti Yoga. That is the solution. To get out of this world of duality entirely. Where what does Vaikuntha mean? The world where there's no anxiety. There's no fire of anxiety. Because you're always in the atmosphere of bliss, you're with the one you love, eternally, an eternal relationship, you see? The world of duality is here. Now how did we get here? 7th chapter, the end of the 7th chapter. Prabhupada gives this verse as an explanation of how he fell from the spiritual world. So listen up, because this is a question that is very intriguing. He says, Ichcha dvesha samutena dvanda mohena bharata. Savabhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. Oh, Arjun, parantapa, conqueror of the enemy. Ichcha dvesha. Ichcha means I desire, dvesha means I hate. Desire and attraction and repulsion. Samutena, arising from this duality. Dvandva mohana means the delusion of duality in the material world. This is good, this is bad, hot and cold, this delusion of duality. From the delusion of duality, sarva bhutani samoham, all the living entities in this conditioned world, not in the spiritual world, are overcome by this delusion of duality. I like it, I don't like it. Strive for that, get away from that. There's danger, let me get out of here. You know, oh, there's something attractive, let me go for it. This is the delusion of duality. It's all just configurations of material energy, you know. Sarva bhutani samahang sarge yanti parantapa. Sarge yanti means literally they come into the creation. This is one way of understanding this verse. So the key at the beginning is with Ichcha Dvesha. I want what? I want to enjoy like Krishna. And on the Dvesha side, I hate to serve Krishna anymore. Now, how does that arise? We don't know. We have minute free will. If we didn't have minute free will, then love would have no meaning. Love has to be freely given. Prabhupada famously said, Krishna doesn't want us to love him at the point of a revolver. That's not love, you know. It's freely we have to have. So he has to give us some freedom. And we're the ones who misuse that freedom. And instead of keeping our attention on Krishna and staying in that beautiful spiritual environment, we turned our attention toward this world of duality, and that started our fearful existence in this world. Bhayam Dutiya Binavesha Taksyat Ishad Apetasya Viparhiyo Asmriti. This is in the 11th canto. This is one of the verses by the Yogendras we've been quoting. Very famous verse. Where does Bhaya come from? Fear is a kind of another aspect or side effect of anxiety. They're all related. So fear arises when we turn away from Krishna, literally Isha, the Lord, apetasya, turning away. And instead of absorbing ourselves in Him, we absorb ourselves in this world of duality. Dvitiya abhinivesha taksat. Syad means comes into being. The bhaya, the fear. Apetasya viparhiya, upside down, reversed. Our position becomes reversed. Instead of being servants of the Lord, we become competitors. Instead of being servants, we try to be masters. But it's not our natural position. And so we're defeated life after life. And so what's the remedy? To turn back to the Lord. Tanmayata Buddha abhaje tam bhakti kriyesham guru devatama. But one has to serve the Lord completely selflessly. See, the problem with Kaitava Dharma, some of you may know, the Bhagavatam begins, the second verse entirely, Dharma projit kaitavotra. Here, there's no question of Kaitava Dharma. Kaitava Dharma means cheating religion, or cheating Dharma, where you're performing various rituals and everything, but the ultimate motive is selfish, you see. You may be worshipping very elaborately Indra or Chandra or the sun god, whatever, or especially Kali, I don't know, Durga. But your desire is not to develop love for them and engage in some bhakti relationship. Your desire is ultimately to get the benedictions, you know, to get blessings from them in forms of higher birth, health, wealth, beauty, and especially go into the heavenly planets, you know, to enjoy like anything. But Krishna, he says right here in the 7th chapter and in the 9th chapter, this is a fool's errand. Some worship me indirectly. What does he say? Trividyama soma paputa papa yagyajisra swargatim pradayante te punyamasa sudendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. So he says, some who know the 3 Vedas, means that the Vedas that deal with the karmakanda, material things, there's so much of that. Soma paputa papa, they drink the soma juice, and they worship me indirectly for the purpose of going to the heavenly planets. And then if they do everything right, you have to be precise. Now this is one of the great things about Krishna consciousness. We heard some of us, I'm not going to name any names, you know, struggling with the Sanskrit here, chanting, you know. But don't worry, Krishna sees that you're trying and you're getting the benefit. But if you're trying to chant some mantra to go to the heavenly planets, watch out, you chant one syllable wrong, oh boy. You're not going to heavenly planets, you may go to the other place. Actually, that happens in the sixth canto. See, the material sacrifices have to be performed precisely. You have to hire the right priest who can just chant. You know, when you have this official sacrifices, everything has to be just right. So there's the priest chanting the mantras, in the sacrifice and offering the fire and the ghee in the fire. You have referee priests who are watching the chanting priests to make sure they get it all right. You know, so you have to hire both of those priests. It's very expensive. We don't have that. You know, someone's chanting Hare Krishna. You know, I like to tell this story. A wonderful devotee, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was one of the real pioneers of this movement. You know, we talk about Mayapur. Mayapur, you know Mayapur. You probably don't know about Mayapur yet. It's where Lord Chaitanya appeared. He's the avatar of Krishna who started this whole chanting movement. So Mayapur is a very, very holy place. And Prabhupada wanted to build a temple there. He wanted to have a center. But how to get the land? First you have to get some land. It wasn't not so much money. So Prabhupada is sitting in Calcutta, and they had collected some money from the West and so forth, so they want to buy some land. So Tamal Krishna was deputed to go buy the land. Who owned the land? Some Muslim farmers owned the land that we were on. So somehow he wasn't alone. I think it was one or two other devotees. But the whole transaction took place at night. It was a whole adventure. And he came back and he actually had the deed. He had bought the land, giving him so many rupees, hundreds of rupees, thousands of rupees. And he came back and he came to Prabhupada and he gave him the deed. The land is yours. And he was like, oh, ecstatic. So anyway, this whole adventure, how he started the Radha Damodar party, going around in buses in America, stopping in colleges. He had Vishnu Jan, who was this empowered, legendary singer and preacher with him, making so many devotees. But eventually, for one reason or another, I won't get into details, that program ended. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, well, what am I going to do now, Maharaj? Srila Prabhupada, you might as well send me to China. He was saying that, of course, that's impossible. That was Red China. These are the days when Mao was in charge, this is, you're not fooling around. And Prabhupada said, yes, China. So he spent the whole day learning about all the ways in which it's impossible to preach in China, so he could then present to Prabhupada that it was a bad idea. Prabhupada wouldn't hear of it. He said, no, you got to go to China. So I'm not sure if he, I don't know the exact history, if he went there before, because this was in 76, 77. But anyway, he did go there eventually, pioneering. Of course, he didn't go dressed like this, he went undercover and started. But he started the preaching there, and there's a flourishing yatra there. In one way or another. So, now why did I tell that story? I'm sorry? It's a good story, I know. Anyway, the idea is that we have this free will by which we can turn toward Krishna or turn away from Krishna. And this going back to the verse, the remedy is given, turning back toward Krishna and cultivating this knowledge and changing the whole way in which we see ourselves and see others. And see ourselves, see the Lord, see this world. That's what's being spoken of here. And we're going to have a series of verses now. It's up to us. If we keep these verses in mind, they'll change the way we live. That's what it was. So understanding we're eternal, and that our real interest lies in investing our energy, our attention, in trying to return to that world. That changes the whole way in which we see ourselves. And life becomes meaningful. Otherwise, there's no meaning in it. If all of our efforts are on this temporary plane, then, as probably like to tell this story, as a saying in Bengal, why are you building that house? Oh, I'm building a house so that eventually I can put it to fire. I can burn it down. Right? What kind of insanity is that? But that's what we're doing on the material plane. If all we were hoping this everything is done. So how can we invest in the spiritual by what we're doing? So Krishna is saying, back to this heavenly planets thing, that all the efforts to go up. Oh yes, that's what it was. No, here's why I told that story. So he's preaching in China. And I was saying how you have to pronounce all the mantras right if you want to get... So he's preaching, and in China, it's a little hard to say the R's. There's a lot of R's. Hare, every word has an R in it. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So one of his disciples came, a young boy, said, Gurudev, I have trouble saying the mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So he says, don't worry. Just keep chanting and try to pronounce correctly, Because Bhava Grahi Janardana. I got to learn this verse again. This is a verse about pronunciation, I swear. Did I tell you this? The meaning is that the knowledgeable Sanskritist he says, Om Vishnave Namaha. Vishnave is a vocative form. Now, for most words, the ending is aya. As we say, Namaham Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale. You see? In other words, unto you, Srila Prabhupada, we're offering our obeisances, who are at the lotus feet of Vishnu, who are very dear to Krishna. That I. So, but Vishnu is an exception. Just like in English, there's so many exceptions. So instead of Vishnaya, it should be Vishnave. It's all vocative. See? So the learned Brahman says, Om Vishnave Namaha. And the fool, unlearned, illiterate, he says, Om Vishnaya Namaha. But both of them get the same result. Because Bhava Grahi Janardana. Janardana, Krishna, he's looking for the Bhava, he's looking for the feeling. Because it's not a material exchange. But if you're trying to buy your ticket, to Indraloka, then you got to go through all of the exact thing, or you don't get up there. So there's a story where, it's a long story, I'll try to make it short, that a great devotee named Chitraketu, he got into trouble with Lord Shiva, actually with Durga, because he came upon them and he was sitting, she was on his lap and everything, and there was sages around, and so he made some joke. And he had already achieved darshan of the Lord, he was driving around in his airplane. But Durga was very offended, and she cursed him to become a demon. And he accepted the curse, because he was a great devotee. He didn't try to counter curse or anything like that. He said, okay, that's my fate now. So what happened was that Indra, because he tends to get too proud, right? This is what the problem is, he's mode of passion. He didn't show the proper deference to his guru, Brahaspati. Walked in on him, and there was the palace were going on, and dancing girls and everything, He didn't get off his seat, just like another one, Ramaharshan, who got into trouble. Those who know the pastimes. So Brahaspati didn't do any violence. He turned on his heel and he walked out. And then he said, oh my God, I've just offended my guru. So he ran out, but he couldn't find him. He had disappeared. He had gone off somewhere, So now they had lost the blessing of the guru, so the demigods were weakened. And the demons found out about that, so they were mounting attacks, and the demigods were in trouble. So they needed to get some blessings from the Lord, some protection. Anyway, it's a long story, but they were able to get a special weapon. That Indra had a very. He already has a powerful thunderbolt weapon, but this one was really more powerful because it was made from the bones of a great sage. It's a long story. So meanwhile, Chitraketu was getting his curse. So what happened was that. We need a guru now because we lost our guru. Otherwise, we got no power. So this great sage had a son. His name was the sage was Svasta, and his son was a Brahmin, and his name was Vishwarup. So Vishwarup, he can be your guru now. So he's saying mantras and this and that. There's amazing things in the Shastra. He happened to have 3 heads. Okay, so. He's chanting these mantras, and in one of the heads, he's chanting mantras to the demons because his mother, in one line, she had some lines. So and Indra's watching from behind a pillar. He's watching. He loses it again. It causes so much trouble. You can see Krishna's in the corner with the Govardhan hill. Same Indra, trying to inundate Vrindavan. So this time, in a fit of anger, he cut off the 3 heads of Vishwarup. Now what? One, he offends his guru, now he kills his guru. And meanwhile, Tvashta became furious. Here I encourage my son to be a guru and you kill him. So he wanted to perform a sacrifice to get a demon who would kill Indra. So he gets all the Brahmins together, he starts chanting the mantras, he himself is a Brahmin, But he's so angry that instead of one word is reversed. Everything's got to be precise in Sanskrit on material side, otherwise it doesn't work. So instead of getting a demon to kill Indra, he gets a devotee who's in the guise of a demon, whom Indra will kill and send back to Godhead. Just from chanting one thing wrong. So there's this big fight. The demon was called Vritrasura. Vritra means that he can expand and cover the whole universe. But he was actually a devotee. It's Chitraketu in his form. So eventually he has this. So he wants Indra to kill him and send him back to Godhead so he can get out of this demon's body. See? So there's this fight going on. It goes on for a long time. And eventually, Vitrasura is lying on the battlefield, he's bleeding out, but he's also chanting these beautiful prayers. And Indra realizes, oh my God, now I've killed another Brahmin, because he's the son of a Brahmin. He realizes. So eventually Indra has to confront his own sinful reactions. I don't know if you've ever read this, it's amazing. The whole thing can make a great movie. When I read it, I said, this would be a great feature movie.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just didn't want to run out of time. Vijay Krishna Prabhu is back and has a question.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. I'll just be finished in a minute. So, this Vitrasura, he has beautiful prayers, which I won't get into, and he goes back to Godhead. Indra has his sinful reactions personified, chasing him in the form of this old tubercular woman. And he, what am I going to do? So he has to hide. It's almost like, in a swamp and breathe through a reeds and hide there underwater for like hundreds of years before he can get out of it. That's his result. Meanwhile, Chitraketu went back to Godhead, you see. All because he mispronounced one word. But when you chant Hare Krishna, this devotee in China was chanting Hare Krishna, but he kept chanting, eventually he was chanting Hare Krishna, and he was chanting 64 rounds a day. Became very, very super advanced. So this is why this is the only place where we can say, Krishna doesn't mind. As long as you're trying to pronounce correctly, and eventually you'll improve. Vijay Krishna, you're on. Are you there?
Dravida Prabhu, my humble obeisances.
Humble obeisance back at you.
Introducing my question.
Okay, go ahead.
Prabhu, if I may, the quote from the purport is, and by the way, wonderful class, wonderful story.
It's not over yet.
The quote is as follows: unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these three things.
Yes.
Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body, and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so, end quote. So, Prabhu, my question is as follows. We know that in order for the disciple to get knowledge and spiritual realization and advancement from the spiritual master, he needs to offer to his spiritual master menial service. Like Krishna and Balaram offering the collection of wood in the forest to his spiritual master Sandipani Muni. Thank you very much. So what I need to know is the following. Of course, Krishna and Balaram, Supreme Personality of Godhead, supremely intelligent. When after collecting the wood in the forest, they were there getting the verbalization, philosophical verbalization, and all the wisdom verbalized by the Guru, listening to what the Guru is saying, to the classes of the Guru, they were able to understand because they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, supremely intelligent. What if the disciple happens to be very good at collecting wood in the forest, but simultaneously he is not as intelligent as needed in order to understand what the Guru is saying? What kind of spiritual advancement is going to happen in the heart of this disciple?
Okay. So there's a bunch of things going on there. First, Krishna's super intelligent, even before he hears anything from the Guru. But he's showing the principle. He's taking on this menial position with Sudama, Vipra, actually. The whole idea is that at whatever level you're at, if you're humbly serving the Guru and trying to fulfill his desires, then you'll be blessed with prema. You'll be blessed with Baba. You may not become so skilled at chanting mantras or understanding Sanskrit, but that's not the ultimate end. The ultimate end is the purity of heart and the feeling for Krishna. And a perfect example of this is Lord Chaitanya's encounter with an illiterate Brahmin in the temple of Rameshwaram, I think, or Srirangam, I forget which one. And he went there, and this was an illiterate Brahmin who was given the order by his Gurudev to read the Bhagavad Gita every day, the whole thing, chant all the mantras. So he goes to the temple and he's reading, but Prabhupada gives the imitation. He can't really chant. He's in Om, 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 and some guys, they would see him, they knew who he was, and they would joke and, what are you reading there, Prabhu? Like that. Joking with him. They would ignore them. So Lord Chaitanya came one day. He was there in his tour of South India, and he saw this Brahmin, and he saw that he was crying sometimes. And so he said, oh, well, what are you doing? And he saw that Lord Chaitanya wasn't mocking him. He said, oh, my Guru already told me to chant, read the Bhagavad Gita, and I agreed. I took the humble position, yes, I'll do it, even though I'm incapable. And apparently the Guru knew that he was illiterate, but he still gave me the assignment. No matter, he's still trying to fulfill. So because he was humbly serving in that way and trying to fulfill, and what he explained to Lord Chaitanya, Lord said, well, why are you crying? I understand you're illiterate, you're not understanding the meaning, but your tears are coming. Yes, because as soon as I pick up the Gita, I immediately see in my mind's eye Krishna on the chariot with Arjuna, and how the Lord has taken up the menial position of serving his own servant. And that tears come to my eyes to see the mercy of the Lord, the compassion. And so Lord Chaitanya gave him a big hug, which means immediately attained prema bhakti. He says, you are actually the knower of the Guru, of the Bhagavad Gita. So the point is that the attitude is everything. And if one is sincere, then, as I say, Bhava Grahi Janardana, that Krishna is looking for that sincerity. And he will give you inspiration to serve in such a way that you'll make advancement to the limits of your capacity. And he'll empower you to do things that you could never think you could do before. So that's the magic of it. But a really important point before we end is that the association comes most importantly through words. There's a Vapu and Vani association. This we learned very much in 1977 when Prabhupada was getting ready to leave the planet. I remember there's a purport in the fourth canto where he makes that a specific point that the Guru comes and he interacts with the devotees, the disciples, and that personal, physical association is all important, and you can take advantage of it as much as possible. But more important is the Vani, is the words, which are always available. Just like now, just by being in this class, you're associated with Srila Prabhupada, by hearing his purports and his translation here, in the temples that he founded. So this association is all important. And the worship, and especially doing service, all of these things together. That is service. The first service you do, this is right in the books, is to hear. Hear attentively with this ardent hearing, that submissive oral reception, and try with the intention of trying to put the instruction into practice in one's life. That's service. That's association with Srila Prabhupada. So it doesn't depend that all of you have to be Sanskrit scholars or anything like that. It's all in the heart, what your intention is. So with that kind of association, then you get the blessings of Krishna, and it comes in the form of more taste for things related to Krishna, beginning with the holy name, and less taste for all this Maya that is holding us back and keeping us bound here. Is that okay?
Oh, Dravida Prabhu, better than okay. Again, wonderful answer to my question. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Well, I would say spectacular answer to my question, just to change it a bit.
Hare Krishna.
Because you are tired of the word wonderful.
Hare Krishna. It's okay. It's okay. By the way,
Okay,
we have some new people here. He's sitting in Portugal now, right? Which is 2:30 in the morning?
Yeah, now 4:11 in the morning.
Oh, it's already...
3:11 in the Azores Archipelago in the morning, 3:11.
Well, thank you so much, Vijay. You've been very...
Just, this is the proof of how much I love your class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, we better end now. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Hare Bol.
Thank you, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Bol, Danavari. Sorry you didn't get to ask a question. I mean, you do that.
No, actually, I didn't have a question. Thank you, the Vijay Prabhu did that. We are happy that he asked.
Yeah.
Dhanapali Prabhu, you are welcome. Thank you very much.